it's Kenzy Knoxx and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we will be creating this beautiful tree with a swing on it. So I hope you enjoy. So I thought this painting would be really nice and relaxing and just easy to do. It's perfect for beginners and intermediates and just everyone all together. So let's just get started. So grab your black and go ahead and any black will do and put that down on your palette. You may actually want to grab jet black or Mars black, and also add that to your palette. I realized later on that regular black just wasn't adding enough pigment to the canvas and I needed it to be really dark, so you can go ahead and add both blacks. Also grab your white, so go ahead and put that on your palette. We will need some pink, fuchsia, magenta, bright magenta, probably some violet. Oh, there's a fuchsia. Yep. And some purple too. So I think that is the Velvet Crush. Just, I'm not putting them down on my palette just yet because we're not there. The only one I will put down is magenta because we will need that to get started. So I'm going to grab my 1-inch angular brush. It's about 1 inch, 3/4 to 1 inch long. And this can be used for lots of things. And you don't have to use this. You can use a large filbert brush. You can use a large flat brush, but you do need a large brush because we'll be covering the majority of the canvas. So we'll be starting from the center and working outwards. The bigger the brush, probably the better. Or if you start with a really small brush, it will take you a very long time. So you don't want to do that. Okay, so our palette should have white, black, and magenta on it. So it should look somewhat like this. And we're going to go ahead and grab some white and just start making a circle in the center. And we're going to be creating a circle that goes out and out and out and winds all the way out, all throughout the background. So we'll be covering the entire canvas. And this is a 9x12 canvas, if I didn't mention that earlier. It's mixed media paper, which is fantastic, and I'm a huge fan of. But for right now, we're going to pick up some white. And we're just going to go in the center and create this large circle. And this is going to be our base. So we're just getting this area ready to be painted. And I did not prime my canvas, so this is basically essentially creating a primed layer. So now we're going to take some pink and just create a small circle in the center. The small circle will be the only area of the circle that's not actually black and white or gray. Oops, and I got some drips, so I'm just going to tap those off the canvas real quick and we can fix that real easily. And the circle doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be big enough that you realize it's sort of like the moon or whatever you want it to be. Okay, so now we're going to grab some white, a decent amount of white, and we're going around that pink circle. And we're just going to add enough white so that we can later blend it out with some black and create these about rings, because we don't want to create a gray shade. We want more like defined lines in a circular motion, obviously spiraling out. So right now I think I'm grabbing some black, just a little bit of black on the edge of my brush, and then I'm just swirling it out over the white areas. And if it blends, it's okay. Oh, and if the paint is not spreading on your palette, go ahead and grab a spray bottle or pick up some more water on your brush, and you can make that paint just really get on your canvas a lot easier. So continue this process of swirling it out, mixing the white, and then grabbing black, and then grabbing white, or vice versa. Just making sure you're not trying to blend in too much, because you do want some of those circles showing. I keep having to spritz my canvas because my canvas, for some reason, is not taking to the paint very well. And you just want to continue in a circular motion all the way from the top to the bottom, because this will be showing. So some of this sky will be showing in the bottom area, some that will be showing, but you really do want to just cover the entire canvas so that you do have a solid layer of paint as a base. And it's just the underpainting, so don't worry too much about it. The only part that will really show is probably the center third. If like you break the canvas into thirds going up horizontally, the center third portion will probably be showing the most. So if you're going to focus on a point that you want to look better, just focus on the middle area. But it doesn't have to be perfect. Most of the top area will be covered by branches and leaves, and then the bottom area will be covering with some mounds of the ground, I guess you could say. So don't forget to mix in that black too, because you do want just a little bit of black on the top and the bottom just to darken it up a little bit. And if your paint's still not gliding, just spritz that water on your canvas, and hopefully it'll help you out a little bit. And also just grab some white, grab some black, just keep mixing those up, but trying to keep them separate from forming a solid gray layer. You don't want the circles or the areas to all be the same color. You want them broken up, and you want them different shades. It's up to you. If you want to create all the same shade, you can, but I would recommend starting either darker on the outside and working lighter towards the inside, or vice versa. This way, the way that I am doing it, it looks like I'm creating the darkest center and then getting lighter as I'm going out. Okay, so now I think I'm going to dry off our canvas. I'm having issues with the paint. So in order to get the center really white and pinky, we just want to make sure that it's dry. Okay, so now that it is dry, and it takes 2 seconds with the heat gun. I love the heat gun. I'm going to pick up some white. We're just going to cover that center area again. Just make sure you just get a nice white solid layer over it. We want to cover up that murky gray or murky pink color that we had. And then we are going to lighten up that area around the moon as well. As it's just a little dark for my liking. So I'm just doing that with a little bit of white, and maybe I'll premix some gray shades on my palette and add it to my canvas actually. So on my palette I created a little light shade of pink with some pink and some white, and I'm just putting this down now for the moon, just to know where our pink glow is coming from. And so that will be our final color, I believe, for the moon. So I think we're happy with that. So now I think we're going to do the land. So in the background, when it's far away, it is actually lighter than as it comes towards you. So it's called like atmosphere. So it's light and it's fuzzy and it's just lighter in color. And then as it comes towards us, it will get darker in color. So it almost comes to like a black color if you're doing this type of painting, which we are, which is the black and white. So with black and white colors, so the farthest away from us will be the lightest gray, and then it'll get darker and darker and darker until almost black where in the foreground. So we'll be sticking with that kind of painting method. So we're going to start with this color gray, and it's a mid-shade gray. It's not too light, not too dark, but darker than the background behind it. So we're going to go to approximately a little bit below the halfway mark. So halfway horizontally, go about a little bit under it, and then start your little mounds of land. And then you're going to stop once you've reached almost to the halfway point. You're going to leave a little gap right there where that's not going to touch anything. And then you're going to create your other side with the same reference points, so just a little below the horizon, and end right next to the land marking where the other side is, leaving that gap in the center. There will be a path that's coming from us to the swing. So it's obviously going to be smaller in the background and then get wider as it comes towards us. But that is just, I'm just letting you know ahead of time before you paint in your color, just so you know. So there's going to just be this little gap of area between the two landmarks. Okay, so now we're just going to add a little bit more black to that same pile of gray, so that I'm just showing you right there. So just add more black. And so now it's our second layer of land, I guess you could say. And it will be a little bit thicker than our previous layer because it's coming closer to us. Oh, and I'm showing you right there the path that we're trying to create so that you know where to paint to. And you can draw in your little pathway if you'd like. You don't have to. I was just showing you. You can make your path wider or narrower, but just keep in mind that the tree will be on our right side, the painting's left side, I guess you could say. Okay, and now we're going to just add a little more black. Okay, so now we're just going to add a little more black to our palette, and we're going to create another mound in the foreground. Or more in the foreground, I guess you could say. We're also going to dry down a little bit thicker. And we're going to make this section a little bit thicker than the previous section of land. And then we'll go to black. And this black and then we'll go to like black in the most foreground area. And it doesn't have to match the mounded area. So we kind of want this like a flatter area because this is where our tree is going to be growing out from. I'm just doing this because the dark black in the foreground is just going to be like this flatter land. So we just want that to be known that this is flat because this is where the tree is going to be. Not completely flat, but just more flat. Okay, so now we're going to paint the tree, and the tree is going to be in black. So pick up some black paint. I haven't cleaned off my brush yet, and that is fine. And the tree goes up to about 2/3 of the way up, so to here. And it's about an inch of the way in, I would say. And it's got the thick trunk. You could draw this tree in wherever you would like, as long as it's on this side of the painting. And this brush is just the perfect width for it. So you can just stroke this brush straight up and down, and you should have the perfect tree formation for this painting. And you can make the lines a little wobbly if you'd like. And then that will branch off into various, I'm just going to draw in. I'm going to change it up a little bit from my reference painting. I'm going to switch brushes now, so I'm going to head and clean off my brush. Oh, I haven't used this brush in a while. Okay, so I'm going to use my number 4 angular brush, and these bristles are semi-stiff. Okay, so I'm going to tap my brush in water, and then tap the excess drip off on a towel real quick. Just tap the towel real quick with your paintbrush, and then go ahead and pick up the paint. And so we are going to draw this tree with some branches that just start coming off immediately. Coming off of this big branch that wants to reach all the way over. And this will be our branch that will have the swing hang off of. And then we want to create just a few more branches. You can use a liner brush or a line brush, or flat brush, I'm sorry, if you'd like. You can use a liner brush. You can use whatever type of brush you want that helps you draw branches. These will mostly be covered. So don't worry too much about perfection if you're a perfectionist. I know I am a lot of the times, and it drives me nuts. I'm going to switch my liner brush. This one was actually like a bristle, I think, liner brush, because it has, see how thick it is? So it's like a brush. I want one that actually meets in the center, so it forms a peak. Not one that has thick bristles, but that meet like peaks. That helps you create those singular lines that you need, or those skinnier lines. And I'm just using black right now. I'm going to need some more jet black. Here I am thinking I'm not going to use jet black, and here I am thinking, oh, now I need jet black. This tree isn't dark enough. I'm actually going to have to go over that tree again with the jet black, just to make it more pronounced. You can draw down the roots too. You may need your painting to dry before you can paint into the tree, only because if the paint isn't wet, it's going to probably come off of your canvas and onto your brush. Or you can try to wet your brush a little bit with some water, and that sometimes helps paint travel from your brush to your canvas. Just trying to recreate some of these branches that aren't dark enough. I really would like some of these branches to stick out to make it just a little more realistic than abstract. And I know we're painting a more abstract painting, but you can make it whatever you wanted to make it into. Okay, so now we're just going to paint this little swing. So the swing is going to be just below the horizon, or not the horizon. Does it meet the horizon? It is at the horizon. I was going to say halfway point, but the horizon. So at the horizon, you can go ahead and draw just a little seat, just like that. It's going to be sort of, okay, so you're going to create like a rectangle, but the ends are going to be slanted, but make sure that they're slanted at the same angle. And then the horizontal lines, make sure those are pretty straight and horizontal with the alignment of the paper. And then we are going to add in the ropes. So underneath it, let's see, we can do that after. Okay, so this just has 2 ropes coming down. So we're going to go ahead and wet your brush, tap off the excess water, and pick up some black. I'm going to drag the rope string from the middle. So it looks like it's about here. Okay, and then we're going to grab another one, and we're going to just draw down to here. And I would just go for it. The longer you take to draw the lines, the more likely it is that they'll be not what you want, and most likely messy and not straight. But you can always correct it if you need to, so don't worry about that. That should never be a problem. Okay, go ahead and wash out your brush. We're going to now grab a little liner brush if you have one, or the smallest round brush you can find. So I have my number 0 liner brush. I'm going to wet it in water. It's very important to get these bristles wet. I'm going to dip into my black paint. And at the bottom of where the rope should meet the board, I'm going to create this little like knot thing. So some of the rope tendrils coming down. And then you can touch up any twigs or branches that you want to touch up. And again, like I said, most of this will probably be covered with some of the brush or the tree leaves. Just gonna make this a little thicker. Branches off. Okay, so let's go ahead and wash off your brush. And now we can start in on the pink. I'm going to go ahead and grab this mop brush, which is actually an eyeshadow makeup brush. So those work fantastic on painting. And you can actually use paintbrushes as makeup brushes if you did not know that. Some of them, anyway. I wouldn't recommend all of them, just really nice ones. But this was like a really cheap $3 set that I had, and he gave me 3 different sizes. So I have small, medium, and large, and these are fantastic for painting. So I'm going to go with my large one. This one doesn't work as well as the smaller ones, but it will still work. So we're going to do the darkest layer first. So I want to actually go in with some Velvet Crush, so some like violet. I'm questioning if we should, but I think it would make the painting look more beautiful if we had a little variety of color in there. There's some here. She used Concord Grape. And Concord Grape I'm just going to throw down. I'm not sure what color I want to use. So this is a much cooler purple that I think we're going to have to use for it to show up. I think the violet's too close to the magenta. So go ahead and tap that on the, just on the top of your mop brush. And we are just going to start in, we can start in at the base over here. Just a little bit, not too much. And then we're going to start in, you put some on your little swing right there. And then you can put some starting here, over here, and a little bit of everywhere. Mainly towards the inside of the bristles, or the branches, where the thickest or the darkest foliage would be. That's where we want those. So I'm creating little bundles of bushes. So not like the painting, the reference photo I have makes just the leaves go all the way everywhere, but I want it to be a little bit more realistic, less beginner-ish looking. I don't know how else to explain it. It just doesn't look like it. I'm changing it up. I'm doing it this way. Not saying it would be any better. Just yeah. You can do it the whole. You can do leaves all the way down the tree if you'd like. You can do it however you'd like. Okay, so go ahead. Oh, this is the problem too, is that you can't wash your brush. So you have to take a rag and wipe your brush off if you want to reuse it. So now I'm going to just try to get paint off as much as possible, and then I'm going to go ahead and pick up that magenta that we had put down, and that is this bright magenta color. So this is the next color that we're going to put down, and I'm going to do just the leaves up here and maybe down here, but here I'm going to use a smaller mop brush, so I'm going to do that afterwards. But I'm just going to add a little bit of foliage to the bottom over here, to the bottom of this tree. And maybe just some in the path. Just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to go over into here, just add some over here. over here. And the trick to the mop brush is just to get the outside of the bristles in the paint. I think it's easier with thinner paint than it is with thicker paint. That could just be me though. Some people like the thicker body paint with certain brushes. I personally don't think I like the thicker body paint with the mop brushes that I have, only because it's hard to transfer and just creates these blobs that don't look that great. And with the thinner body paints, you can really just grab a small layer of paint that you need. Okay, so now we need a lighter the magenta. So now I'm going to use fuchsia. You can also just add white to your pink if you'd like. That's all it is. I'm going to add some neon pink to that. Just because I want to brighten it up a little bit. This color looks very dull for some reason. I'm just going to use my spatula real quick, my painting palette knife, if you will. Mix that up. Oh, and that is gorgeous. This gorgeous bright pink color. That's a really nice. Look how bright that came out. Can you see that right here? It's really beautiful. God, I love this spatula knife. It's so nice. So easy to clean too. Okay, so now I'm just going to pick up some of that. And I'm just going to add it in where you would see it. So not over there, but maybe in the pathway. And just some over here. And not everywhere, but just sometimes less is better. Sometimes more is better, but this, with trees, it's very easy just to end up putting blobs everywhere and then just having a full on foliage tree that doesn't look anything like what you want it to be. So be careful with putting on too much paint, unless that's the look you're going for. It's all up to the artist. Okay, and then we don't want to forget about our swing. So that brush, I think, is done. Once you've used it a little bit, pretty much the bristles just start drying out and or the paint starts sticking to the bristles, and that's not good. So I'm going to use my smaller mop brush. I'm going to grab that magenta pink, and I'm just going to add little dots. And then I'm going to wipe that off on my towel and grab that neon pink and just do some other dots on top. Just a couple. Then I'm going to wipe that off and then go for some white, just a little bit of white. We're doing that. Oh, just didn't even pick it up. Just a little bit of highlight. Okay, so now down here we're going to add some white too. It's just a little bit within those leaves. I'm thinking we probably should have added some purple, so go ahead and add some purple in. Just a little bit. Just to even it out some. Sorry guys, I guess we should have done that. If you watch this tutorial first, add your purple and then add your pinks. Okay, so now we are going to add some white up in the trees too. So just little areas that are highlighted just a little bit more. I wish I had multiple larger mop brushes. This helps break up some of the colors too, which is good. Okay, and then down here, just create some point. It also helps if you're having trouble showing the colors. So over here I'm just adding more white dots because the leaves aren't really showing, so I'm going to probably go over them again with some color. So I'm just going to fix up some of this color just so it shows up a little bit better. There should, I guess, be leaves on the other side too. So I'm just going to continue over here just a little bit. Doing just some of those leaves. And then make sure you wash off or wipe off your brush before you grab that bright pink color. Okay. And then you can add some white again, just to break it up. Okay, so now go ahead and wash off your brush. They have so much paint in them. I'm just going to set those aside for now and take care of those in a little bit. I'm going to get some clean water here. I'm just going to draw some highlights in. So I'm going to grab my liner brush, my number 0 liner brush, and I'm going to tap it in some water, tap off the excess drip, and I am going to pick up some white. We're just going to line this tree just somewhat down here. You can have some age spots in here too, or I want to show some of the bark, some of the characteristics. That would have probably shown naturally. Move it down the side of the rope. Oh, grab water if you're having trouble with your paint sliding or working well. And I don't know if I should, yeah, I guess that's fine. This is kind of just on your, if you feel that you need some highlights or some, just a little something else in your painting. Like this path is bothering me. There's supposed to be some pink. I'm going to grab that bright neon pink that we created and just add some pink just up here, just along the path. It's kind of like the path is maybe coming from over here and coming, swoopy down here. Also, let's see, I'm going to wash off my brush. I'm going to grab a little bit of black, just some white, and make a dark gray, just to make a contrast line for our, oops, I need more water, for our land. Wish I had drawn that out just a little farther. And then the same on the other side. And then we can also just add in another line here. Whenever the color changes just a bit. And then we can add a dark line over here. Make sure you keep your brush wet. That's one of the key things with these liner brushes. Keep them wet. And then when it gets darker, we can add in a little bit of white to help separate. Okay, and then let's see, we can also just add some white streaks too into this to make it just a little bit lighter. It's supposed to be far, far away. And then you can wash out your brush. You can grab some black, and we can draw some streaks further right here. And here too. And down here. You know, actually, rather than doing this with a liner brush, we're like scumbling, so might as well scumble with a brush that scumbles properly. So let's go with our, I'm just going to use my number 4 filbert. I'm just going to put some water on there, tap off the excess drip, and grab some black. And I'm just going to, so we did it from this side, create, well, that was easy. And also some additional texture in here if it's possible. Really want that rose wing to show. And then, let's see. I think I'm going to take some wash off the brush. I'm going to grab some white. And in the path, I'm also just going to draw some lines down here. So, you know, the path goes this way. And it's getting bigger and bigger. You can cover that up if we want to. Oops, I just grabbed some purple, so I'm going to stop right there. And I guess I will lay down some light pink flowers on top of there. Maybe some darker ones too. Okay, and we're done, and that was an easy peasy how to create a tree with a swing painting, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any comments or suggestions, please let me know. This is supposed to be for beginners. It's super easy painting, and I hope you enjoyed. Okay, so until next time, I'll see you later. Okay, bye!